Thank you. We're going to be doing some group stuff too, so we'll get together. It's not that great for it, but we'll do the best we can. Thank you. Just because I'm curious, how many Hamilton Huskies do we have? How many Basha Bears do we have? How many Chandler Wolves do we have? How many Perry Pumas do we have? It's not all Perry. That's pretty good. You got anybody 7th and 8th grade? Vogel? Anderson?
Willis.
Who else? Willis? Payne. Payne. Everybody stand. Great. Okay, great. Welcome. Hopefully we got to do the morning session and got those things that are important. We're going to do this. The time that usually this is done in is much longer than what we're going to do it in. Okay? And hopefully, when you're done, you'll have a good time. I believe that in-service is like coleslaw. It's either really good or it's terrible. You ever have coleslaw, you're like, this is nasty. Or you have coleslaw, you go, how is that good? I've never heard anybody go, this is average coleslaw. You know, so it's either Kentucky Fried Chicken coleslaw or something really bad. We're going to try to make it Kentucky Fried Chicken coleslaw. All right? So we're going to try to have a good time with this, have a little fun, laugh a little bit. And if you get one thing out of it, I hope you have something. I believe the Pursuing Victory with Honor program is something that we are not just required to do, we are implored to do. It's something we have to do, especially in this district, because there's a lot of rivalries in this district. We are right now, district-wide, we're it. Athletically, we are it. And it's hard to stay on top of the hill when everybody's chasing you. And, it's very simple. When 3 of the 4 state semifinalist football teams are from one district, that kind of tells you something. So, welcome and congratulations for coming into a district that really values athletics. Not only the buildings and the facilities and all the stuff, but it's about the people. And I think you've already probably kind of got a little inclination of that just by meeting some people that are already involved. But for those of you that are new, welcome to Chandler. For those of you that have been here and are just starting to coach, it's about damn time you got back into it. And hopefully this will be something that you get at least one thing out of. Coach Dunn here was one of my coaches when I was a head football coach in McClintock, so sorry, Tom, you've already heard all this. But we'll get going. Pursuing Victory with Honor. I believe that when you talk to a group, any group, and I'm sure not in this group, but when you're talking to your team, when you're in front of your classroom, when you're doing something in front of a group that maybe you don't know, I believe you present to 4 kinds of people. And I think you got to keep this in mind, especially when you're talking about ethics and those kind of things you're trying to teach kids. And the 4 kind of people you talk to, I think are pretty general. The first group is the students. They're easy, and they really don't need you. Your best players, your best athletes, your best students, it doesn't matter. They can put a chipmunk up in front of them, and they're going to learn on their own anyway. They are the ones that always answer the question. They raise their hand. They go home and study the playbook. They are into it. It's what they're about. They're easy. Second group is real easy too, and those are the tourists. They're just passing through. They got their bag. They got the big camera. How you doing? This is great. Did you go see the speaker? Yeah. Was he good? Oh, he was fantastic. Did you like the material? It was really good. Does it pertain to what you do? Yeah, you can use it. Well, I don't know. It's just good to be there. You got kids like that in class. They're there. They don't cause a problem. They're actually B students. They're great. They love it. Are they really learning it? But they're easy. They want to be there. Third group are the prisoners. You know the prisoners, they get off the bus every day, man, like they're in shackles. Swing low, sweet. Right? I mean, they're just, every day school is a prison. And I tell those kids all the time, if you think school is a prison, it will be. Every single day. It's up to you. And they're just doing time. What are you in for, man? 7:40. When you go on parole, 2:08. And that's all they're waiting for. You have those kind of kids on the team. Dad made them go out. They hate it. Freshman level, think about it, man. You got kids, and you're like, man, they shouldn't be out here. Oh, God, she can't even do a touch. How's she going to make the basketball? They're just doing some time. In cut sports, they're doing enough time to be cut. In sports that don't cut, they're going to be there doing time. The last group is a dirty word in this country, and that's the terrorists. And think about this in your classroom. Think about this on your team, these 4 groups. The terrorist is the one who tries to screw up everything you're doing. Right now, as a teacher, close your eyes and visualize those 1 or 2 kids in every class that wants to screw it up for you. And the terrorist's biggest advantage is what? Surprise, right? You're not sure who they are. That's what terrorists are all about. What I like to do in every class I teach, any group I work with, I describe these 4 groups because I want the terrorists to know that I know that they're there. Because right now I just took the terror away, didn't I? There's a kid sitting in the back of the room who goes, dang, man, he knows I'm here. He knows I'm going to be the one. You have that one kid, the one that doesn't play, whose parents complain, and you know how it works in athletics. It takes 1 to bring 10 down. And unfortunately, it takes 10 usually to bring 1 up. But that's the one. And sometimes in the classroom, in the business, on the team, that one is maybe one of the most or the most influential person there. Because I've had experiences where I get the terrorists on my side, and it's amazing the power they have. And sometimes if you let them know that you know they're there, you've taken that part out of it, and now you can work on getting them on board. So keep that in mind as you work with these kids, these new kids. How many coaches in here are going to coach freshmen? Raise your hand. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, you're dealing with a group of kids that are worried about 3 things. 3 things. The 3 L's of being a freshman. Number 1 is looks. Because they're going in with all these grown-ups, sophomore, juniors, they are so afraid of how they look. They can't get over it. The boys want to look tough, want to look cool. The girls want to look cute, want to look pretty. They come in the first day, they get the cutesy stuff on, they get dress coded. What does that do to that little girl who's been worried about how she's going to look on that first day of school all year long, and we're harping on her already? They're worried about the same thing when they go out for sports. So looks is a big one. The next one is lost. They're worried about getting lost. In this school, it is a quarter of a mile from that door to the other end of the building. It's overwhelming. So they're worried about getting lost. They go out for that team. What do you mean? What do you mean practices every day? What do you mean I'm not guaranteed I get to play for the 3 minutes a game? No, it's not. It doesn't work that way. And then the other one is lunch. They're just scared to death these lunch lines are going to get fed. Okay, they're probably not. So make sure you tell your athletes to eat a lot for breakfast. But those are the 3 L's of freshmen. So I think those are things they're concerned with. Those of you that are taking notes, I got a sheet I'm going to hand around. I hope I have enough. If anything that I have you want, I'll put up my email at the end, and just email me and I'll get you whatever you need so don't feel too pressured to write a whole lot. Okay? But that's how I'm around. A coach is first and foremost a teacher who should not only improve his players' athletic skills, but also help them become better people. You have more influence on these kids than sometimes their parents do. And scary enough, even more influence than their friends, who have all the influence on them right now. You make a huge difference. Their math teacher can tell them to go home and do homework, and they got a 50-50 shot in some cases. You tell them to go home and go do some homework, and they'll do it. Better yet, you tell them you're going to spend lunch in the locker room with me doing your homework, and they'll do it. Remember the influence that you have every day. Remember how much power you have over these kids and their decisions, not just on the field, but in life. All of you are athletes. You know who coached you. You know what they did, who influenced you. If you want to sit down and talk to me about my high school football coach, I'll tell you how much I hated him. And then I only worked for him for about 15 years. So, it's kind of funny how that works. You're going to make young ladies and young men out of a lot of these kids. And they're going to remember you for that. But it's also like your own kids. You're going to get ones you really like, but you got to toe the line. And they have to toe the line. And you're going to have to ask them to do things that's going to cause them great pain sometimes. And that's where you get to teach them about all the things that we're going to talk about today. I really think that, first off, thank you for everything you do and that you're about to do. But I'm going to talk a lot today about vision, about getting that vivid mental picture in your mind of what you want to do as a coach. Where do you want to be at the end of the season? It's just like a classroom. You pre-test, you post-test. What did they learn at the end? And yeah, winning's important. If you're keeping score and you're in high school athletics, and especially if you're at the varsity level, yes, I'm not going to screw around. It's important. It makes a difference. You know, if they're going to write about you in the paper the next day, somebody thinks it's important. Somebody thinks it's important. But you're also teaching some things that are going to be a lot more important later on. Coach Jerry Slemmer, he's the principal at Red Mountain High School now. He was a very successful football coach in Pennsylvania. And when I became the head football coach at McClintock, I tried to go and visit people that have wisdom and steal as much as I can. Remember this, if you steal from one, it's plagiarism. If you steal from many, it's scholarship. So try to be as scholarly as possible, especially in the coaching profession. And I talked to Jerry about coaching, and the thing came up is, well, how do you know if you were successful with your athletes? How do you know if they did a good job, if they did what you needed? And he said, what I would tell my kids is, or I would tell people that ask me that question, I don't know, ask me in 20 years. Ask me when they grow up and get a job and have a family and have a life, then I'll be able to see how I did it. I'm really excited. I have one of my former players now here coaching for us. He's actually in this room and teaching here. It just thrills me because I knew this is where he'd be when I first met him. And it's great to see that. That as a coach will make you more proud than anything. So keep that in mind. I also want you to remember this, and you got slogans. I know you guys are slogans galore. I got a lot of slogans. You want to use anything, go right ahead. But if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Okay? But we think we know sometimes, but we really don't. We don't see the world the way it is. We see the world the way we are. And it's hard as a coach, especially, to step back and look at the big picture. Here's what I want you to do. I want everybody to take, and don't do it yet, you're going to take your fist, you're going to put it on your forehead like this, and I just want you to stare straight ahead at your wrist, and then you're going to take this finger, slowly, put it on the back of your wrist, and I want you to slowly push your index finger along the back of your wrist. Go ahead and do that. Everybody put their hand up. And you're going to look at your wrist. Now put your index finger and push that in real slow. Just keep staring at the wrist and push it to keep staring. It didn't look like it was that long, did it? You don't see things the way they are sometimes. Every time I do that, I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm like, that can't be that. That makes no sense. You're going to have stuff happen where you think you know, and then you're going to go, you don't. I talked to Richard Gray. You know Coach Gray. He's been around a long time. He's been state coach of the year in football twice, coach at NAU. Richard is a football savant. He is phenomenal when it comes to talking about defensive play. I said to him this morning, I said, Richard, how you doing? He said, all I know is the longer I coach this game, the less I understand it. And isn't it true? The more you coach, the more you go, there's a lot to know. It's a whole different animal. Character. Only a fool would sacrifice that which cannot be taken away for that which belongs cannot be held on to. I believe you don't got to be sick to get better. People, I'm doing great. We're doing awesome. How's that? Great. Good. You don't got to be sick to get better. Had a kid come in the other day, here at Hamilton. You get them all. He was all CIF, all world, all this, all that. Kid walked in, big physical young man. I was quite excited. I thought I'd ask him a few questions. I said, man, what you bench press? He said, I don't know, about 415. I said 6. Wow. I said, what do you squat? I don't know, 600, 10 reps, whatever. Wow, that's very impressive. Anything else you can do? I'm a quarterback. I went, really? I said, you throw a ball 70 yards from my knees. I went, wow. How's your speed? 4.4. Pretty good. Man. What's your GPA? 4.1. I went, man. I said, young man, is there anything you can't do? He said, yeah, I have a little trouble telling the truth. Those credentials kind of go out the window if they're not real. And you know how that is. Every kid that comes in is all world boy. He's talking to their daddy. And he'll tell you how great they are. But I think character, maybe some of those other things don't set. So keep that in mind when you're working with a lot of these kids. And know that it is your charge to let them understand. I believe strongly, and I know you have to as coaches, that commitment and persistence are strong and consistent. I am committed and I'm persistent. It's hot out there right now. Really hot. We're going to ask a bunch of young men to put a little plastic oven on their head and run around for a couple hours, just for fun. And then when it heats up just a tinge more at the end of August, we're going to let them put that little plastic oven on their head and knock each other down when they're hot and tired. You know, and I don't care if you coach volleyball inside or basketball or football or whatever you do. There's the key. Commitment and persistence. Are you committed to what you do? Because don't get caught up in the emotion. And as a coach, you know, have you ever said this to your team? Hey, do I ever have a bad day? No, I'm here, I'm fired up, I'm ready to go every day. Why, you having a bad day? You don't think I'm human? Well, you're coaching. But you know what you do. Sometimes you're having a bad day, right? And you go, okay, here I go. Okay, let's go, guys. Because they can't see that. They don't get to see that. Because you made a commitment. You're going to stay persistent. You're strong and consistent. Don't get caught up in the emotions. And I think this is a very difficult thing to teach kids, is the emotional part of the game, because it's full of ups and downs. You know, you hear the new term, you gotta have short memory. You gotta have a short memory. You're a pitcher, you better have a short memory. You play corner, you better have a short memory. Because if you dwell on what you did before, it's going to kill you. You need to teach that to kids. And when you talk about that commitment, why are they in practice? Coach, it's hot. It's hot, Coach, I don't want to practice. It's hot. Yeah, but it's basketball season. I don't care, it's still hot. What makes them come? Their commitment, I guess. Because if you get caught up in the emotions, it's up and down. Those of you that have a significant other, remember when it was like this? Remember what love does? That was love. Sometimes he just loves you. Sometimes they don't even like you. It's like this. What keeps you together? What keeps it strong? What keeps that relationship between player and coach? It's the commitment. It doesn't change. Emotions are up and down. How many kids, especially kids, you see them in the morning, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? I'm great. Hey, girls, how are you? Oh, we're still good. Good to see you, coach. Awesome. You see her in the afternoon, hey, honey, how are you? Would you burn in hell now? What happened? Who knows what happened? She failed the math test, pulled over the boyfriend. There went the good mood. It's like this. Guess what? She's still at practice. Can you get her to focus on that commitment rather than the emotion of what's happening? Same thing in a game situation. I mean, the emotional roller coaster you're on all night long. It's crazy. If you're the guy calling the plays, you can't get caught up in that.